go. We'll tell you where to walk. We'll tell you what to say, what not to say, when to be here, when not to be here, who to avoid, i.e. maybe somebody that you wouldn't want as a customer, and somebody that's open and will talk to you more openly about your particular product. So that's how I moved into the business and Churchill Downs and thoroughbred horses in general. So let me just jump ahead a little bit. Things were going along, and the next year I got involved with a product called Lubricin, which, as you know, is an oral hyaluronic acid, and began to help them roll that product out at the very beginning as they were launching that particular product. And I had probably we were doing it much like we do MagnaWave today. I had a bunch of people who were essentially working with me. I was acting as the sales manager, if you will, and these people were under me and developing their businesses. And it was a challenge. It was a challenge because they all weren't at Churchill Downs or the Kentucky Horse Park. They were all over the country in what they were doing. So at that point, I came across a gentleman named Max Steingart. And Max lives in Fort Lauderdale. But at any rate, at that time, he was conducting telephone seminars on how to meet people and reach out to people on the internet. So he'd have a call-in program. You'd call in, he'd give you tips, he'd tell you what to do, and then you'd go apply those particular type of tips. I see we got the new MagnaWave logo in the corner. Thank you, Chris, for putting that in there. Great job. And so that's what I was doing. So I hooked up with this guy. And so I started following what he was telling me to do. And back then, all we had was AOL and Yahoo primarily. And you'd go into Yahoo groups and you'd search out particular groups that you were looking for, and you'd join the groups and you'd start offering conversation. Now, so we would do that. And of course, back then, there were a lot of chat rooms that were maybe not the best places to be. They were adult entertainment chat rooms, if you will, and a lot of things going on there. So people thought, well, if you're on Yahoo and you're in the chat rooms, you're where you shouldn't be. Perhaps that was just the theory that was abounding at that point in time. But Max took a different approach. He would go into health chat rooms, go into health and wellness, exercise, all these types of places, and strike up conversations, helping people meet up with doctors, helping people, whatever the situation may be. He did a lot of work in the multi-level world, and I wasn't looking for multi-level at that point, but I was looking for the tactics that he used to be able to meet people and better expand my PEMF business and the Lubricin business and everything that we were doing in order to better meet up with these people as we traveled around the country. From 2002 to basically 2010, well, really, I didn't get into it to about 2003. I was on the road full-time in an RV. I say full-time, I was about 6 months out of the year in the RV, and then my wife would join me at various periods of time. And of course, we did summers in Kentucky because of Churchill Downs and the Kentucky Horse Park and that type of thing. But 2004 and 5, my wife joined me full-time, and we were on the road full-time in our RV until 2010, traveling the country. And at the beginning, she didn't understand what I was doing, trying to use these chat rooms in these various places to meet health practitioners, horse trainers, so on and so forth. And they were all using, those who were a little more progressive in their internet mannerisms, they were using these chat rooms to trainers would use them, for example, to communicate back and forth with other trainers. Trainers would use it to communicate back and forth with horse owners, people who would maybe come to them to become trainers. And so that's how all of that was shaking out. And I was using Max tactics. He would give me scripts. He would give you ideas what to say and get these people to respond to you. That was the whole basis. And so then come ahead a little bit, bingo, here comes Facebook. And so I started taking Max's same tactics and applying them to Facebook. And after a couple of years, in 2008, 2009, we learned that about 90% of our communication and our interaction with our customers was coming through Facebook. At first, there was MySpace. We were doing some work in MySpace and talking to people, but we were always working to have a method to communicate to our potential clients in this manner. Now, we didn't sell here, but I communicated here. So I could go to a racetrack and already had a communication with a trainer or a veterinarian or a chiropractor in that particular town. And what I would try to do is to maximize, if I was going to Phoenix, Arizona, I would maximize who I could potentially, no pun intended for Max, but who I could meet with in those areas, maybe a horse trainer, maybe a chiropractor, maybe a veterinarian. And so I worked all of those things in that area. 2009, 2010, we found that most everything was coming through Facebook. We were a little tired of being on the road full time, and the economy wasn't very good at that point. Somebody came along that really liked our RV and wanted to buy it, and we got out of it smoothly, didn't lose any money on it. So we jumped at that particular opportunity and went home. But we continued to use Facebook and various aspects of Facebook. So where I'm going with this is, over the years, as you know, and I'm going to give you one little tip here. Over the years, Facebook has changed dramatically. There was a time that I could go into Facebook and I could search Evansville, Indiana, veterinarians, and I'd get those people. Then I could create a list that was similar to those people in around that area and find out who else in that area really would be applicable for my products. So at that point, it was pretty easy to utilize the Facebook algorithm, and I'd post something and most everybody would see it. But they'd use that algorithm and I could really hone in my searches. And that was something that they always did on Facebook at that particular time. Now, but as we all know, what began to happen is that Facebook started changing what they're doing. They wanted people to buy ads. They took away the search aspect where you could really hone in your search and build lists accordingly. And so over the years, people have come to us and want to learn more, want to be able to market more effectively. And Chris is with me today, and we've worked very hard in MagnaWave to create posts and to advertise on Facebook to help drive people to our practitioners. One big problem continues to exist, and that is you can get your ad in front of people, but then you need to get them to click your ad, or you need to get them to come to you and interact. You're on the waiting side of that particular game. Facebook has kind of taken away that real opportunity to use its capability to do that. So I'm going to finish this story here, and we're going to get into our other questions. But if you have any questions about this, please put them in the comment section, and I'd be happy. Oh, there's a bunch of comments in there. I need to take a look at that. New platform, so I've got to figure out who's where and what's going on in those particular areas. But again, share this broadcast with your friends, if you will. But so Facebook's kind of changed all that, and it's become a challenge to do that. So, so here's my hint. Here's my little tidbit for this at this point in time. We realize today that when you post something on Facebook, only about 6% of your friends see those posts. The rest of your friends don't. And the only way it gets to more people is to have people comment on your particular post, like your particular post. Well, as we all know, you'll put something up and you maybe get 4 or 5 people or 10 people to like your post, 1 or 2 people to make a comment. And so it stays in that little area of 6% or so of the engagement with your friends. Well, if you're starting a new business and you have 400 friends on Facebook, the average person has about 186 friends. But if you have 186 or 200 friends and only 6% are seeing your post, and a lot of these people are horse people, you got a problem. And there's a lot of different ways to solve that. But one thing I've learned, so I'm going to come back, I've re-engaged with Max, and I'll tell you why in just a second. But one thing that happens today, if 5 to 10 people, and now that number is changing, Facebook plays with that algorithm to their advantage, and it plays like that. But if 5 to 10 people type a response of at least 5 words, not more than 10, but it's an original post. Hey, I like your post a lot. Thanks for thinking about health and wellness. Boom. If 5 to 10 people do that, your post can explode up to 80% of your particular friend base. So The question is, how do we get our friends to comment? Well, there are some ways to do that, and ways to get people that see more of your, just imagine if you're a MagnaWave practitioner and you agreed to, if you see a post on somebody's thing, or if we had a place where someone would post, hey, I just did a post, I need a boost. And if just 5 or 6 people were available and saw that, went in and posted a 5 to 6 word originated post about that, or comment about that post, that person's post would expand to 80%, potentially 80% of their audience. How we can work together to enhance our business is where I'm going with this. And so that's just a little tip that I've learned just in the last few days on how, and some of those algorithms are changing. But just imagine that if we could work together to help each other expand our particular businesses. So that takes me where I'm at today. So as some of you know, I launched another business, and it's dealing with hemp and CBD. And so I launched this business, and we're running it separate from MagnaWave, but you can participate. But at any rate, it's separate from MagnaWave, and it is dealing with CBD and hemp. So I'm thinking, okay, I need to expand this business and grow my footprint for people that want to participate, people that want to buy these products, so on and so forth. How am I going to do that effectively when Facebook isn't as friendly today as it was a couple of years ago in the streaming aspects of things, or not streaming, but being able to build your business? So what did I do? I went back to Max. And so I contacted Max and started talking to him. At the same time, one of my business coaches from San Diego, Ed Rush, who I've worked with over the years, started talking about the same thing. He started talking about LinkedIn. So I went to Max and I said, Max, here's my problem. I got this CBD company, jutehealth.com. I want to get people out there to see it. I want to get people to participate with me and realize the beautiful effects of CBD on anxiety and pain and all that kind of stuff. Enough said there. But so Max said, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the place to be. And I said, why? He said, because on LinkedIn, you can do a lot of the targeted searching that you used to be able to do on Facebook. Now, remember, Facebook's got, I forget what it is, 60, I don't know. I don't even know the number. I'm going to say 6 billion users at this point in time. And LinkedIn maybe have 600 million users. A huge difference. But people who are serious about their career or what they're doing are on LinkedIn, and they will communicate, and you can search them out. I did a search the other day. I was talking about Evansville, Indiana, and I went in and I did an equine search for horses and trainers in Evansville, Indiana, and I came up with 20. There's more trainers and people in Evansville than that. But if I could now start to pinpoint those 20 people in Evansville with reliable, good content, I can begin a conversation with them that it's very difficult to do on Facebook today. But I can also, here's another tip, take those names, those 20 people, go to Facebook, put them in, find their profiles, like their profiles, follow them on Facebook. Bingo, you've married the two together between LinkedIn and Facebook, and all of a sudden you're communicating with people. And so by word of mouth, that 20 may become 100 in Evansville, Indiana. So I've been using this, having Max coach me in how to further develop my hemp business. And it clicked to me that the tips that he's giving me and the things that he's doing will also play for MagnaWave and the practitioners that are with us on the MagnaWave side and what's going on there. So it's been eye-opening to me to see that. So just to kind of end this story, I've gone very deep with Max on these tips on ways to increase your value of your posts on LinkedIn as well as Facebook. And we're going to I'm going to have some sessions to where you can come in and we'll go over this, and these tips will be available to you. We're preparing scripts, not lengthy scripts, but various scripts that you'll use in texts, in emails, in various manners of communication to reach out to these people, whether they're for MagnaWave practitioners or whatever other business you might be in, or the jutehealth.com hemp people who want to learn more about hemp, purchase hemp, the oils to help their life, health, and well-being. So that's where this thing is going. I went back to Max for CBD. Help me grow this CBD business. And then, but as I learned, I got the opportunity to use the same tactics for those of you who are starting a therapy business or need to expand your therapy business or reach out to a town that's 25 miles away. And just one little thing here, and then I'll go on to other stuff. When you look at people on LinkedIn, there's less of them. But just take, for example, someone who's, and I'm talking horses today because we're on the MagnaWave office hours. I'll throw up some stuff on the Jute Health at this point and go over that quickly because I've talked about it. But people that are on LinkedIn, I'm going to say, are more serious individuals. They may be professional people who are salespeople or business owners or whatever it is, whether they're using LinkedIn to grow their business or LinkedIn to find employees, whatever it is, they're professional. On Saturdays and Sundays or every day, they're at their barn taking care of their horses. These are people that are professional, that have funds, that want to grow their particular business and involvement, and they're perfect for you to reach out to. So you can connect with those people, again, on LinkedIn, move them into the Facebook world, and begin to prosper in what you're doing. I started using a couple of tactics of this last weekend. There's some of them that are kind of funny and they're kind of strange, and not strange, but just kind of backdooring how you use them to get the people to say hello, and then all of a sudden they respond to you. And I'll share all that when we get deeper into this, but it's working. My engagement on LinkedIn has increased almost 200%. I got people that I'm talking to that are all of a sudden talking, and it's the 80-20 rule. 20% of them say, oh, well, tell me about this hemp business that you're doing. Or some of them say, tell me about MagnaWave. And so it's just opening both doors to do that. So that's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to do to help you share some of these ideas and tips to be more successful and beneficial in your business, in the MagnaWave business, or what if you have other supplements, or if you'd like to come take a look at jutehealth.com, that would be great as well. And just to go there quickly, Jute Health is a CBD company. It has a wholesale program. So if you're a practitioner and you want to have these products in your truck to sell hemp-based products for small animals and for people, you can certainly do that. We're developing some equine products that we're going to have as part of it. And so basically, if you go to jutehealth.com, and you get 20% off on your first purchase. If you choose to do that, use the coupon code JUTE49. It's JUTE49 to if you have interest in doing that. So that's why I got in with Max, and it's working there, and I want to share that with you. Let me come over here to the comment section. We got a bunch of comments. John Stevens wants to know about CE. Aaron, good morning. I tell you, John, where we are at this point on the CE, it really hasn't changed. The companies in the United States that are doing the factory inspections of the various factories have not passed muster with the European not the European, but the CE regulatory boards around the world. And so we've done everything we can do. We've passed every inspection as far as the equipment is concerned, the MagnaWave devices that are digital, as far as the safety is concerned, all of that is completed. We've passed all of those inspections and tests and so forth. But the companies that did those have to go back now and recertify themselves with the European or with the CE folks, and that is becoming very slow. And this is only for new products. And with our factory in California building our digital devices, those were new products coming into the CE world, and they're stuck in that logjam. If we had already had a CE product that was approved, not affected. You just go right on. So people that are manufacturing CE registered products in the United States and sending them abroad are not having any problem as long as the products were originally approved before they made this change. And they made the change in November of 18 to require more stringent factory inspections, more documentation, much like the US FDA for CE. And so that's been an ongoing process with them. So John, I hope that helps. Jamie, good morning. Let's see, any other questions? Good morning, Terry. Tim's with us this morning. Thanks for being with us. Let's see new comments. Let's see what we have here. Any questions? Let me go back here. I kind of lost where I was. Hazel's with us. Michael's with us. Let me check live cast and see. Hazel's with us on Castbox. Good. Bridget Lee Nelson. Great. Good. Let me come back over here. I'm sorry, I got sidelined. Wondering, Tandy asked the question, and Chris, you might look and see if I've missed any questions above this one. Good morning. Wondering if anyone has worked on PANDAS patients and what was the outcome. I've treated twice in 2 days in a row and saw an incredible change in her anxiety and tics. And PANDAS must be an indication that's just not hitting me at this point. You know, but I will answer from the standpoint of treating the body to improve blood flow, to improve blood oxygenation in the body. What are we doing? We're setting the body up to be better prepared to take care of itself, to heal itself. So any of those types of situations are certainly worth a try. And as Tandy points out, she's a couple of days in a row and she saw an incredible change in anxiety and tics. We see that when we treat depression. We see that when we treat people with PTSD and doing those kind of things. The modality is very relaxing and the modality helps. That goes back to one other quick thing I was talking about, jutehealth.com. We got into that, but I got into both of these businesses because of my wife. First time with MagnaWave, it was because of herniated discs. We found this machine, gave her back pain relief. She had mobility. It reduced her pain. She suffers from some PTSD symptoms as a result of we lost a child and a lot of other things happened in her family death-wise, and she just took on the symptoms of PTSD. And we found a guy at a MagnaWave meeting that we were out in Denver, and who was served in Vietnam, and he used CBD to calm his PTSD and his Agent Orange conditions. Debbie took some, Dee Dee took some, and bingo, within hours, her feeling improved. And that's basically how we moved forward and got into the CBD world with jutehealth.com. Okay, so again, use this and use it well, and you'll be happy. So let me go on down here and see what else we got. Hello from Germany. Well, good morning. Charlie, good morning. Charlie Conner, you're one of my friends for years and years and years. We worked in the same band together back in Evansville, the Villains. We had many, many good times that we don't talk about. Good morning, Charlie. Cammy's here this morning. Instagram, Heaven Inspired. Instagram has helped in my area. Instagram is someplace we're going to go. MagnaWave uses Instagram a lot, and Max that I'm working with has tactics for Instagram that we can move into there with the CBD business, but certainly to use Instagram, and Chris and Elaine do webinars dealing with marketing and Instagram and how that stuff goes. So they'll cover that certainly in the webinars that MagnaWave has. Let's see. Good morning, Glinda. Good morning, LTC. Girls, how are you? Let's see here. Anyone in the St. Augustine, Florida area want to buddy up for a boost, send me a PM. Now, so here's the thing. You don't have to be in your area to improve your posts. So if you're in the St. Augustine, Florida area, that doesn't mean that if we have a place to post this, Chris, you can think about this and help us figure this out. But if you have a place to post that you need a boost, any of us who happen to be on at that minute can go to your profile, boost or comment on your post, and expand your post's reach incredibly, as I've said, up to 80%. So Heaven, great sharing and great idea in any area. There we go. Let's see. What do we have here? All states. Thanks so much. I love the marketing help. Dawn Reinecke, all states in the U.S. Dawn Reinecke says for hemp, yes, for sure. Good morning, Pat. Spoke to a man yesterday that asked the effects of PEMF on platelet growth, blood platelet growth. Well, the body produces its platelets, produces what's necessary. If the body and the blood flow and the blood oxygenation is in place, so the cellular happenings of the body can better do what they're supposed to do and want to do, then yes, it will help with that type of thing, just by allowing the body to be a little healthier and a little more propelled to help itself go on. Let's see. Good morning, Tina from Ohio. John, you're welcome. I know, John, that this thing is, not only is it holding back what you want to do with our equipment in Europe, but it's holding back what we want to do as well. So we are certainly anticipating this as much as you are to get the CE thing completed. For the longest time, we were reaching out to them and they weren't responding. Now they're responding. They're telling us where they are in getting all of this approved. Basically, what happened is these companies went in and inspected. For example, they came in and inspected our factory and said everything was fine. They filled out their forms, but the forms they submitted were not what the regulatory boards wanted. So they had to go back and create a new form, create new evaluations of that, send that to them for approval, send it back, get it back, apply the information that they garnered from the inspection of the various factories, put that into the forms and resubmitted. And that's kind of where they are. So not only did they have to redo their whole apparatus to get it done, but they have to get their inspection reports certified, if you will. And then there's a huge line. And where you fall on that line is maybe how many CEs you have, how much you've done in the past. And with us, we've had one CE a few years ago, which we changed that piece of equipment, went to the digital pieces of equipment. So we're not only new to the game, but we're at the bottom of the list in terms of them going through and getting all of that taken care of. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Got a lot of folks watching this morning. We certainly appreciate that. Let me jump over here and make sure what's going on the live cast. Everything seems fine. Back to StreamYard. Chuck King, listen to this when you get a chance. Okay, Tandy, thanks for telling him. I'm treating two horses for Navicular. One is a horse simply used for riding on weekends on trails. Another is show horse, has wedge shoes, vet and farriers involved, 4 treatments, 1 week helped, but she showed him when I feel he should have been given him more time off, and he had a misstep and was disqualified. She is wondering what to do next. What can we expect from her? What can we expect from here? Well, when you're dealing with navicular, there's 2 things to think about. Number 1, is it bone degradation, or is it a situation to where we have inflammation of the bursa around the bone? The bone is still all right, but you have inflammation of the bursa. In either case, there is obviously pain, obviously inflammation, obviously things that can change the horse as they step and use the particular part of the body to make them uncomfortable, causing a misstep or whatever happens. So continual treatment in those cases until it's resolved is the thing to do. If it's bone degradation, and you're not going to reform that bone at that point. It's chipped, it's degrading, it's causing a problem. So continuing treatments at that point is really about the only thing you can do. If it's inflammation in the bursa or inflammation around the area caused by whatever, and you can control that, maybe you won't have to treat all the time, just when it begins to surface and to come back. So what you can expect is you need to first understand how severe is the issue with the bursa. The vets can tell you that if there is degradation or if it's pretty much just bursa inflammation or whatever it may be, and you can kind of approach accordingly. But I would certainly treat as often as possible, because as with anything else, if inflammation is involved, the more you treat, the more you control the inflammation, and the slower the inflammation is to return. So you want to approach it from that situation. So it's very difficult to say, well, 3 or 4 treatments and you're done. That's not the case when you're dealing with those types of situations. Now, if the inflammation is in the bursa because of a problem and you can get rid of it, that means it may not come back. But if it's an anatomical problem or a training problem that caused by training that the horse experiences all the time, then you're going to have to deal with it more regularly as you approach those type situations. Will MagnaWave help with horse with EPM? And this is in the training, and we've covered this before, but EPM is a situation where you have parasites in the body and they're in the nervous area of the spine, and they cause a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort, a lot of problems with mobility and so on and so forth. What we've learned from the very beginning, if you have a horse with EPM, there's two schools of thought. At the beginning, the veterinary school of thought was, wait till we finish our medication, then come in and treat the horse. Over the years, that's kind of changed. Many veterinarians are saying, as I'm administering the marquee or whatever I'm doing with the horse, you can treat at the same time to better enhance the effects of the medication and help get this process underway of getting rid of these parasites if they're in fact degrading and can be moved out of the system and out of the body. And so there's two schools of thought. So if you got a veterinarian involved, you want to make sure that you understand how that is going and talk with them about what they think the best procedure would be in that area. However, with that said, we learned from the get-go that if you have a horse with EPM, one treatment probably isn't going to do it. One treatment in many cases can make the horse appear more uncomfortable the next day or after the treatment. Why? Because you have these parasites that are attacking the nerve or causing a problem on the nerve, and you go in and you massage that and you move it for whatever reason, or if it's decaying and you're trying to get it out of the system, but you move it, all of a sudden we got a problem in two spots on that nerve. So what we've learned is you have to do it continually. There are racehorses that have had EPM that come back to be very successful racehorses, but they're treated every week, maybe once or twice a week, and then they're treated 3 or 4 days prior to a race to get them in best optimum shape. But their treatments are ongoing when dealing with that particular type of situation. So yes, talk to your veterinarian, but we have had good results with people that have used our type of therapy for EPM type of cases. Will we have a seminar about promoting our business using LinkedIn at MagnaCon 2020? Well, that's a good question, and Chris is with us today, and we can certainly talk about that. We've done a lot of marketing stuff at MagnaCon, but I feel certainly what I've learned, what I've experienced just in the last few days, the searching capabilities on what LinkedIn can do and provide for you as far as people that you want to reach out to and how to reach out to them. I would think that that would be something that we might want to have at MagnaCon, and we'll certainly put it on the table for discussion. Max has volunteered to come on a program, a webinar with us. He may also agree to, if we want him to come to MagnaCon and put up a presentation. The people in the know are saying that LinkedIn is going to become one of the social media forces because they are working to help you. They're working people help find jobs. So people got to be able to search. People got to be able to do these things. And so that's where we're seeing the real strength in what LinkedIn can bring. And again, you use LinkedIn to search, and then you take the individuals that fit your criteria and move over to Facebook if they're in your neighborhood or whatever it is, and connect in both places and develop relationships and conversations that can create word of mouth, that can create discussion. But again, it's a lot deeper. You got to have the scripts, you got to have the content, you got to follow it every day. So there's a lot of work involved, but it's something that if you're building your business can be very beneficial. So let's see. If that's about the last question that I'm seeing here. Let me see. Is there anything else that you're seeing, Chris, that I maybe need to look at? If you have any questions and you'd like to visit with me, give me a call or send me a text. Let me bring that number up here. Where's that at? Here we go. Let me put this up. If you want to talk with me, have a conversation about what we're talking about, send a text. Text your name to 502-599-9722, and I will phone you back, and we can have a conversation that all these folks can hear and listen to with us and participate. Also, if you call, you'll be entered into a drawing for a gear bag of MagnaWave materials. And I guess that, Chris, that will be a gear bag with new stuff, with new logos, all that type of situation. Is that correct with us? Chris says, yes, that's what we're doing. So send me a text, 502-599-9722. I'll phone you back and we can have a discussion. Anything you want to talk about, that's fine. If you want to talk about what I was talking about with marketing, cool. If you want to talk about any other questions that you have about MagnaWave, whether it's for a person, small animal, or a horse, give me a shout and we will certainly get right back to you. 502-599-9722, and we will do that. All right, let's see. If you have a question, please send it to me. Let me make sure that there's nothing else in the chat box. There is something new here. Let's come back. See, Marlene asks a question. What is the best way for sanitation when treating humans and animals beside Lysol wipes to keep the attachments the cleanest, especially the paddle since it is a cloth? Some are using vet wrap. There is a sanitary medical plastic being used out there. Okay, two things. The Lysol wipes are very appropriate. You could use bleach and water if you chose to do that, to simply wipe them down. We are in the process of manufacturing some covers for the coils that you could put over the whole hose, and then on the various coil itself that you can then use, and they're Velcro, so you can remove them and wash them. So that's one way of certainly doing it that's appropriate. The covers on the paddles are antimicrobial, so you can wipe them off. You can use soap and water on those covers if you'd like. I don't know that I'd use bleach because it would probably discolor it, but you can get those wet, if you will, and scrub them and let them dry, and they're fine. There's nothing that's going to happen if you were to do that to the coils. So we are preparing some wraps that can go on the coils themselves, but to get right to it, to use a Lysol wrap, a Lysol sheet, or use bleach and water and a rag and just clean them up is something that you can do that will work very well. The coils themselves are made out of antimicrobial material. They're surgical grade. They can be used in surgery rooms. So they're prepared to be cleaned. They're antimicrobial in their manufacturer. So just make sure that you do it. The biggest challenge I've seen is not necessarily cleaning them, but some people deal with animals that the odor is different than what they're used to, and so they have their coils take on an odor. If you have that and you're going to treat people and you don't want to have it, all you can do is have a second set of coils or something like that. Not trying to sell you a second set of coils, but that is something that you can do at that point to help that particular situation along. So that's where you are in that particular section. Can we discuss, let's see here. When are you going to go to Wellington? I'm in Jupiter, Florida now. In fact, I'm going to Wellington sometime this week to meet with a couple of folks. If you'd like to meet up in Wellington, if you're going to be there, I'd be happy to meet with you. Anybody that's in this area, Wellington, I'm going to be here for a while. I'd be happy to hook up. But yes, we are at Wellington. We're working Wellington in the dressage horses. I'm also doing some work with the New York Mets and some other baseball teams that are starting spring training here in the area to move further into that area of therapy for the professional athletes. So that's where my time is going to be going there. And so forth. Okay, here's a question. Can we discuss a bit about what is and is not okay regarding metal implants, devices, keys, etc., pockets, sitting on a metal chair for treatments, getting some conflicting opinions? Okay, so I'll address each one of those. If you'd like to talk about it, send me your text to 502-599-9972. Oh, we do have one here that I need to call, so I'll do that in just a moment. But let me first, we've got two of them. Let me first take care of this question. Metal implants, rods and pins and plates and things, screws and staples. Number one, the device will not loosen them up. Number two, typically there is, and I say typically, 99.9% of the time, there is no problem treating those types of things with regard to heat. There is certainly no magnetism. It's not going to pull anything, cause any discomfort. I always recommend that you at least treat for a couple of minutes at a moderate setting, just to make sure that the person is comfortable with what's going on. You should do that regardless if they have metal or not. Make sure they're comfortable with what you're doing, they understand the sensation, so on and so forth. But metal implants have typically not been a problem. Keys, if your keys have in the key itself, a cell of some sort, we've had issues with Chrysler keys, BMW keys. I had a person with a Ford key. If you have chips in the key, not a key fob, but a chip in the key, you have to be extremely careful not to put the coil over the pocket where you have it or wherever. It's always easier just to remove it. I treated horses for a long time and never had a problem. I always kept my keys in my pocket. But imagine if you were treating a stifle on your horse and you're kind of you're standing next to it with your pocket right there and you have the keys in your front pocket, could have an issue. So it's always best to remove the keys, put them someplace. You're not going to drive off without them, so you're going to come back and get your keys. But keys can be an issue. Sitting on a metal chair for treatments. You can sit on a metal chair for a treatment. The only challenge is as you turn the machine up, what happens if you have an aluminum chair and there are rivets where the hinges are on the chair. So you got a little piece going through the chair and you got rivets on either end and it's loose. In other words, you can move it if you went down there and jostled it. Well, when you turn the machine up, the energy from the machine gets in between, or the air that's in between those rivets, and you can get an arcing or a sparking. Is it going to shock you? No. Is it stunning? You can hear it start going and you can see it sparking out the side of some chairs. So that's one of the reasons that we don't go around metal chairs. Now I have metal chairs at my coach and I treat people here at the RV resort every day. And I turn the machine all the way up because they're welded. There's no real loose fittings on the particular chairs that we're around. So metal chairs, these recliners that you see, the ergonomic recliners, some of them work okay because of the plastic. Others, the rivets can cause a problem and you can get an arcing. Is it dangerous? No. Is it startling? Yes. Is it best to stay away from it? Probably so. But again, for years when I traveled, we had those ergonomic chairs and we used them all the time. I just didn't turn it up that high. If I was treating somebody's back, I knew where to stop so I didn't get the arcing. And that's where I did it. Now, if I needed more than that, I maybe put them in a different chair or put them someplace else, sitting on a hay bale or something and treating their back and didn't have an issue. So the danger is not there. The reality is there, certainly, that you can get the arcing in those types of situations. Great question. Okay, let me go here to my phone and see who we've got here. Let me call this one. Let me call Kate. Here we go. We'll ring it up.
Hi, Pat.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What can I do for you?
So I am working on a 25-year-old Percheron who has just been recently diagnosed with ringbone. So I have treated him now 4 times in the last, I believe, about 9 days. And he seems to be responding really well during the sessions. A lot of licking and chewing as we've been going on. But we're not seeing as much change as we would like in between the sessions.
That's the challenge. You may need to do more sessions in a row.
More often. So that's what I was wondering. We've been giving him 2 days in between the sessions right now, and I was curious if it would be better if we tried to shorten that interval.
No question. Obviously, what you get in a situation like that as soon as you stop, he's very relaxed. He feels good. Maybe for an hour or two after the treatment, he's better. And then all of a sudden the next day he's not. And that's it's unfortunate, but the routine may be that it could take weeks of sessions to get it to where it's resolved. And I hate to say that, not from your business standpoint, but the reality of it is it could take weeks of sessions to get it. I'll go back to, and you may not know this, but in my wife's situation with her herniated discs, we treated her for 30 days every day and stopped, and she got 2 weeks worth of relief. We treated her for another 30 days and stopped, and she got 4 weeks worth of relief. We treated her for another 30 days and stopped, thinking maybe we'll get 6, maybe it'll be down. She got 4 weeks worth of relief. And for the last 15 years now, she gets 3 to 4 weeks worth of relief from 1 or 2 treatments.
Okay.
And so the more you treat, the longer it lasts. Ringbone is one of those things. Now, I do want to caution, if you're doing ringbone, one of the things that you want to do is, let's say you're going to treat, let's say you treat 2 weeks in a row, lay off a few days at that point, then come back.
Okay.
But because of the rotation potentiality and that type of thing, you certainly want to work closely with your veterinarian and talk to them and get their situation. But unfortunately, in those type situations, it's kind of like EPM. It could take multiple treatments. In some cases, it could be, got to do it. Once you get to a point that it's good, you may have to do it every week.
Okay. And is it still best to kind of, I've been varying, what coil I'm using. Sometimes we use the paddle. He does a lot of pawing with that foot. So it's a little more challenging to get, a consistent time on the actual hoof because he keeps pawing with it.
Right. But I am still kind of changing up which coils I use each time. Sometimes I'm using the equine wings folded around. We've tried using the butterfly. Or does it really matter? Well, certainly, as we pointed out many times, the body responds, the tissue best responds when it's approached at different intensities from different directions. So you're doing the right thing there. And so there is a benefit to switching up what you're using. But I would try to find, for example, you could potentially put the butterfly on him, Velcro it, and he can paw. And you're still treating him. Right. You could take the large loop and put it around his leg. So what I call the hot dog, where you go around the leg and fasten it. So now the signal is going up and down the leg, but put it down close to the hoof. So you're going into the hoof on the bottom part of that. And we've tried that as well. And he can paw during that. He can do it at that point. So just you're doing great. Shake it up and do that. But the continuation of applications, probably what you're going to need to do. Okay, great. Thanks so much, Pat. You're welcome. Thank you. Be sure to send an email to support@MagnaWave PMF to be entered for the drawing. Great, I will. Thanks so much. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Great question. Certainly always appreciate when people call us. Let's go to this next one here. Terry is calling. Let me bring up Terry, and we'll see. Ring it in.
Hello.
Good morning. Pat Ziemer here.
Good morning.
Are you there?
Yep, I am.
Okay. How can I help you?
I am wondering about going to a vendor fair or somewhere where there is a large crowd and ensuring the safety of people who are just walking by or anything like that have a pacemaker. Or what is my radius of safety, I guess, is my question.
The new pacemakers, and of course, everybody around does not have a new pacemaker, certainly. But I'll give you a couple of examples. The new pacemakers they're making, doctors tell us as long as we're a foot away.
Okay.
The literature that we use for years, we have talked about being from computers and that type of apparatus, 10 to 15 feet. I can tell you that in my years traveling in the tube, that we were in the coach full time. We had a machine in the coach with us all the time, and 2 computers within 2 or 3 feet of the machine. Never had a problem. My son has a defibrillator, and he's around machines every day. And has never had an issue with his defibrillator from battery power or machine setting it off. So obviously these things that they tell you to do are for safety, and you're 100%. But I would think we had a situation years ago. We were in Ocala, And if those of you who follow Tommy McTurvey, the guy that trains the Clydesdales for the TV commercials and all that, we were with Tommy McTurvey in Ocala, and we were in the booth, and he was having some back and hip issues that time, and we were treating him, and there was a young lady there that stood and sat next to him probably for 45 minutes while we were treating various areas of his body. And then all of a sudden she looked up. I mean, she was 18 years old, and she looked up and said, "What about pacemakers?" And we said, "Oh, well, you know, we really shouldn't treat over or around a pacemaker, but you should keep some distance." And she said, "Oh, okay." She got up and walked away. She said, "I have a pacemaker." She stood outside the booth for the rest of the time. So she was 7 or 8 feet away. So you certainly need to take precaution. You really don't know who's walking down the aisleway who has a pacemaker. It's nothing that you're, again, 5, 6 feet away. So if you're in your booth and somebody walking down the way, you're not going to have any impact on them. For example, in our coach, we have some window screens to keep the sun out, and they've got very powerful magnets that are inside the coach around the windshield that this screen attaches to on the outside. And they put in their literature, if you have a pacemaker, be careful around these magnets. But they're all over the coach place, and I've got people that live next door to me who have a pacemaker, and he's in and out of our coach and no issue. But the security is there. I'm not telling you to do something. I'm just saying that they tell us these distances for safety and precautions, kind of like going through the radar or the scanning at the airport. There are certain people that have the card and they go around and they do this type of stuff. So I hope that answers your question. Distance is good, but it's not a critical issue.
Okay, so it's not like I need special signage or anything up saying, as long as they're just not inside the booth where the machine is running.
If you're comfortable with putting a sign up, if you have a pacemaker, please stay out of the booth. If that makes you feel comfortable, do it.
Okay.
Has it been an issue in my 15 years of doing magnetic therapy around people with pacemakers? And as I said, my son who has a defibrillator, it's never been an issue at an airport or any place else. But it's certainly always good certainly you should ask someone if they're going to be treated, if they want to do a sample treatment, do you have a pacemaker? Yes.
Sure.
Don't treat them. It goes back to treating a pregnant woman. In Europe, they use this therapy all the time with women that are pregnant. PEMF therapy is a mainline therapy in Europe and other countries. Here, we don't do that. And here we don't do that to women or horses, because if there is a complication for whatever reason, you're treating, they're going to blame you. Right?
Sure.
So
sure.
You just stay away from those things, and you do that, and you make them aware of what's going on and what you're doing. There are plenty of people, and Elaine will talk about it, who've gone through their pregnancy and they have swollen feet and swollen ankles and problems that they will treat themselves during that situation. We've had mares that are in foal, and all of a sudden they have horrible back problems, or their hocks go and they can't hardly stand up, and veterinarians have said, treat them. Help them stand up, maintain their strength, so you don't lose both, right? And so common sense is the key. Checking with the docs and everything is the thing to do, and the key to approach that.
Is there European literature then on the studies or safety with pregnancy?
Well, there are studies. You can go to PubMed and search various studies, pregnancy and PEMF, so on and so forth. I'm sure there's some stuff out there.
Okay.
What people have done. Do I know of any specific thing that I would say? I don't, and I wouldn't, because if I talk about that and somebody does that, then all of a sudden I'm practicing medicine, and I don't want to practice medicine. So whatever is going on that's available on the internet that you can research, it's out there. And how you learn and apply that is up to you. You as a practitioner can talk about a lot more than I can as a distributor manufacturer type of situation.
Great.
Okay.
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for calling. Be sure to send an email to support@MagnaWave PEMF to be entered for the drawing.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay, let's see if there's any more. No more people who want to talk. So we've got 2 people in the drawing for this morning. Let's have a look here. How are we doing on time? Well, we're about out of time. Okay, here's what I want you to do. If go to LinkedIn, search for Patrick Ziemer, and connect with me. And that'll give me a way that we can talk about this marketing stuff and do some things. But I want to explore with you how to better utilize LinkedIn and the various social media platforms that are available to us to help this out. So I'd love to connect with you. If you're a practitioner or if you're someone interested in PEMF, you want to connect with me, hop on over to LinkedIn, search Patrick Ziemer, and let's send a connection request and let's visit and be together with regard to some of this stuff that's going on and that we're talking about. So that's what you can do. Head over to LinkedIn. Let's see. Let me get rid of that. How do I do this now? Boop. Nope, that's not it. There it is. Boop. Oh, it shows up in a different color. All right. Chris, is there anything that I need to do this morning or anything I need to think about at this point? We're good. Thumbs up from Chris. Always appreciate that. He's on top of the game. Make sure that I'm doing the right things. So thank you for joining me. Had a great time today. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad we got this worked out. Chris, I figured out what the problem was with the Mevo. It's the too many Wi-Fi's trying to go on. It's draining everything. But folks, thank you for being here in waving around, and we certainly appreciate that. We'll be back next week, and we'll answer more questions and do more. If you want to know more about the CBD product, jutehealth.com, Jute49. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Wave on. Bye-bye.